Hey folks, welcome to eCommerce 360. Today we have Chelsea, founder of Chelsea and Rachel, a certified Shopify Plus agency with a proven track record of delivering exceptional development and strategic user experience design. Hey Chelsea, welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
It's great. So, Chelsea, today we are speaking about BFCM strategies for Shopify Plus Store. But before we jump on to the topic, could you tell us a bit about yourself and your agency?
Absolutely. So Rachel and I started our company over 7 years ago, and we started it with this vision of holistic e-commerce needs to happen. So she was in digital marketing and strategy. I was in design and development. And we knew that both needed to work together because if you don't have digital strategy to help your website actually elevate and take your brand from a JV to varsity level, then you can fall flat, and then your conversions are tanking, and there's always can be some problems in that. So we really have built our team. We're 22 staff members strong, and we specialize in professional problem solving. So strategy leads into UX UI design that leads into custom development. And we really love to leverage and educate consumers and brands in this space of how to do things better. Our niche has kind of grown in the food and beverage space and wellness. That is a lot of the brands that we serve. And we love to help them grow on subscription and overall growth strategies as they go into things like we're going to talk about today, Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and into the new year, and just navigate this new platforms and new reality that we're all in post-COVID and in COVID, and how to actually talk to your consumers in a real way that doesn't seem artificial and actually helps convert.
So it's interesting your journey. So before we jump onto the topic, I just wanted to talk to you about Shopify Plus stores and how are you helping them, increase their revenue? Because we're not talking about stores that are just starting off. We're talking about stores who have or making a decent amount of revenue. So how do you help them not plateau and go beyond certain expectations that they might have had when they had started off? So how do you actually achieve that for stores?
Yeah, great question. So a number of ways that we achieve that. So a lot of our plus brands are either international or they're expanding a little bit more international. So we have the conversation of, do you do that on one Shopify Plus store or multiple stores? Another way that tactically has really helped brands grow is making sure that they have a diversified, holistic strategy to scale. So what does that mean in layman's terms? Is how are they getting their traffic? How are they converting their traffic? How are they re-engaging their traffic? And what simplistic tools are they using for that? Whether it's like email with Klaviyo and the components of text messaging, but then obviously shipping is a big question that people are asking about. So it's super important that customer service is a big component of that, and that these brands that want to sell more are doing that based on looking at their data. So it has to be data led. They need to know what their customer lifetime value is. They need to know their average order value. They need to know their conversion rate, and they need to incrementally be attacking those with tweaks that can make a big difference.
Amazing. Awesome. So let's get on with the topic. So you briefly mentioned that you are helping Shopify Plus stores, maximize their sale for BFCM. So let's talk about with the changing trends in BFCM, right? The 2020, we saw a massive number of online shoppers, predominantly shopping online, probably a lot of retail stores also migrating a part of their store online. Let's talk about how it is impacting the other store strategy, and what would you advise any store, specifically Shopify Plus stores, to maximize sales during this BFCM?
Yeah, great question. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind, we're still driven for that good deal. Everybody wants a good deal. We're seeing massive changes in our economy and in our culture where prices are rising like crazy, right? Due to the supply chain issues, lots of multiple things. So with that in mind, it's super important to have a hook, to have an anchor of like a traditional really good sale they can't pass up, even if you have an upsell. We really like rebuy with a lot of our Shopify Plus stores. We do a lot of scripts with Shopify scripts, and then components of upsells with rebuy into the cart and into the checkout. And those kind of strategies will really help to make a difference. But I think brands that are looking ahead at Black Friday, Cyber Monday, it has to be test an incredible offer. Like, would you as a consumer buy this no matter what? And that's the offer you really need to run with, and then craft everything around that to really kind of build on it. Because what you're doing in Black Friday, Cyber Monday of this year is buying into a customer base that may have a really deep discount. It may even be a loss leader, but then you can re-engage them. You can get them on subscription. You can have the contact info. You can actually make them a brand loyalist. So it's really important that you have those two kind of balances in mind of a really good offer while also thinking long-term, how do you re-engage them? What does this look like for a customer value? How do you actually make them a brand like enthusiast versus just a consumer?
Absolutely. So let's talk about that a bit more. It's not going to be only about discounts and deals and how you're going to bundle. It's also about how you're going to, make these customers a loyal customers or brand ambassadors even. So let's talk about that. How do you propose that brands go about making these customers or turning these shoppers who are predominantly one-time shoppers into regulars?
So honestly, I'm in the test and trial idea. Like, we do a lot of food and beverage. So the brands that launch out a try us sample pack or just pay for shipping or just pay the small like discounted fee to try it have won over time and time again if their product is quality and they can have that really good follow-up. A good example is one of our brands we've launched is Good Karma Foods, and they had a plant milk launch this spring or summer that just sold out because, again, the best in class concept of it was like, just try it. It's going to be better. You want plant milk. And we had comparisons of it versus almond milk versus oat milk and other things. And this is the best of both worlds. So I think if you have a product that in people's hands is going to make a difference, you need to invest and make that component of having a sampling, because that's the thing that digital doesn't do, right? Like food and beverage, for example, when you're around a Costco or something, you have samples, you can try things, you'll buy more food. You can't do that on a screen. So how do you engage a brand to do it? You have to incentivize them to have something or have such a good offer that they're like, I'll try this, sure. And then they want to engage with you as a consumer.
Amazing. Super insightful. So let's take a detour from there and talk about a bit about shipping, returns, and customer experience. How important are they going to be for this BFCM 2021 as a part of brand strategies to actually, convert these customers that we have been talking about, re-engaging with them or making them having a long-lasting relationship with them? How important are these factors for brands this BFCM?
I think it's so important because if a brand doesn't know what their customer lifetime value is, then they don't actually understand their numbers on their sales as well. Because, for example, like it takes about on average 7 times for a consumer to engage with a brand before they pull a trigger on a sale.
Yeah.
So if you know that going forward, this has to be a critical piece of engagement, repeat, and then be that what you say, like be your why as a brand. Like, I love that there's so many like giving back brands that are taking plastic out of the ocean and wanting to like make consumers. Sustainability is a big conversation. If you as a company have something like that you're passionate about, talk about it, engage with your consumer about that. Make it where it's more reciprocal and more in a way, like not just trying to sell them something, but solving a problem.
Absolutely, that was fantastic. So I think you briefly touched upon metrics. I know we didn't talk about this earlier. What are the metrics that you are advising brands to track for BFCM? I know the larger metric would be ROI and return on investment, all that. But what are the metrics on a daily basis or on a weekly basis that brands should be, tracking to know that they are right on track to crack this BFCM?
Yeah, absolutely. I think you need to really know your numbers, and that includes your sessions, your average on-site experiences. If your customers or your cold traffic right now are just jumping off the site immediately, then you have some work to do on your site. So you need to do some of those improvements now before Black Friday, Cyber Monday to see if you can engage people longer. I think you also obviously need to know your conversion rate. You need to know your average order value, customer lifetime value. But in tracking for BCM, like I would look at your list building. So are you growing? Like, what is your email list at right now? What is your text message list at right now? Obviously, those need to be segmented and personalized, but how do you grow those in the segments that you're wanting to grow in and then personalize it to your avatar? So specifically like I'm a busy entrepreneurial mom, right? So if I'm your avatar, what is something that's going to make my life easier, going to be simple to check out? Do I have Shop Pay on it so it's easy on my phone to check out? And then think through that as a customer so that when you're looking at the metrics, your metrics, you know, you can move forward because now, oh, I've grown this list of entrepreneurial moms by this much farther versus something else that could be kind of tanking based on not actually having an observation on it.
Absolutely. Knowing your list and owning them, that seems to be a very good advice. So let's talk about, how can brands differentiate? We know that there are going to be a lot of deals out there, a lot of discounts, a lot of ads, FB ads, Insta ads, and as you scroll, as customers or shoppers going to scroll ad after ad, they're all going to look so enticing and so similar in a way that, how are brands going to stand out from the crowd this BFCM?
So two things that get shared the most on the internet. It's one is something funny and second is something educational. And those can flip depending on the avatar you're going after. I think a brand needs to think about that. Like if you are not a brand that has something funny or comical in your ethos or in your culture, then go educational. But I mean, there's a reason that TikTok viral videos have happened, right? There's a reason that like people love something that's just silly and fun. There's enough conversation around a lot of it with mental health right now. And like, obviously COVID, how that's impacted the world and anxieties through the roof, all these things. So if you can lighten it up or be something that just gives somebody a pause, like that's what I encourage brands to do. Think of something creatively that will give them a pause, whether it's inspirational, educational, or funny. That needs to be something in there because yes, there's gonna be all kinds of ads and things happening. But at the end of the day, what's gonna matter to somebody is, does it make an impact into my own life? Is it something that could solve a problem for me or make me just pause like, oh, that was funny. Look what they did. Perfect example. And they've been around for a little while now, but like the purple mattresses, when they started doing the Goldilocks YouTube campaigns and stuff, those were brilliant because it just made you kind of laugh of like, yeah, too soft, too hard, too like trying. And so if you can kind of think in terms of like creatively, what is something that you can do? And then I also like, I think a lost art that a lot of brands don't think about now is also music. Like what are something that you can do? Like now you scroll through Instagram and you see people that will actually turn on the sounds again. So what is something you can do with that with Audible that you weren't before?
Absolutely. If you can't make them laugh, make them pause at least to get them to notice. So we're almost towards the end of this podcast. What would be your parting advice to Shopify Plus brands to maximize their BFCM sales this year? Not just maximize, retain the customers, re-engage with them. Try to build that brand loyalty, which is kind of ephemeral. So let's talk about what would be your parting advice to Shopify Plus brands.
I think for the Plus brands listening here, if you don't already have like a really good consultant or other people in the Plus space that are experts, bring them on because it is so valuable to have extra insight and extra perspectives over your brand, over your things that you're doing. Because when you're in the weeds running your company and running the teams and everything, you have a lot of different moving pieces. So I'm a high advocate for coaching, consulting, and professionals in the space. Rachel and I obviously do that for brands, but we hire ourselves as a company to always have insight into our team, into ways that we're doing better, into coaching personal growth ourselves. So I think brands that aren't doing that need to, and the biggest component that you can have is one really good perspective can make a big difference into your bottom line because it's bringing that expertise, it's bringing that other perspective that's really going to give you something special kind of moving forward.
Absolutely. So don't get complacent, get help is the final advice. This has been great, Chelsea, and thank you so much for coming in today and giving us some really, really insightful, insights as well as related, very data-led conversations and very focused, specific examples on what you have achieved in the past and what you have experienced with from working with so many Shopify Plus brands. Thank you so much for coming in and leading us into a bit into what your world and in maximizing the revenue sort of the trajectory, how you go through. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It was my pleasure. Hope you have a great time and happy Black Friday, Cyber Monday that we're coming up to.